Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. It is great to be here one more time on this wonderful day. Today is what's the year? 23rd of March, the year of our Lord 2026. Welcome, guys. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'm sure some did not have the best of weekends, but no problem. We have a fresh new week, and this is almost the last week of the month of March. We're getting to the end of the first quarter, and the Lord has been faithful indeed. Welcome, guys. The frequencies remain channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, and channel 748 Free TV. This is the Afia Sports Review Spot, and I'm not doing this alone. First of all, we're beginning with myself, CC Emetebe, also known as CC the Rabbi, and I'm joined here by my co-host. That's the blessed Zik himself, Zikor Ngene. Zik, good to have you.
Yeah, good evening, boss, and good evening, everyone joining our Afia Review Spot. It was a beautiful weekend and a lot of intriguing plotline stories, and we are about to dissect some of it. So pleasure.
Of course, it is great to be here, and we're going to do that dissecting. And we will start, first of all, from the headline news of the Metro and the continent. First of all, the NPFL. NPFL is getting very, very tough and getting very, very tricky because the Nigerian Premier Football League is currently in the match week 31 mode, and there are 7 games to go. There are 2 games that are being played right now as we speak. Afia Warriors and Niger Tornadoes are playing. Afia Warriors are leading Niger Tornadoes by 1-0. But the one that catches the attention of many, especially in this part of the world, in Enugu, is what's happening between Nasarawa United and Rivers United, because Nasarawa United is currently leading Rivers United by 3-1 at half-time. And why is this scoreline significant? Because it ensures that Rivers United remains second behind Rangers International, who got a very important win, a 2-0 win at home at the Cathedral against Kanemi Warriors. So that means Rangers have 54 points now, while Rivers United, should this scoreline remain the same, or should they lose the game as they are losing it right now, they will be 2 points behind the Flying Antelopes with 7 games to go. That's the first headline. The second headline, Victor Osimhen, Agbabola himself, is expected to undergo surgery that will keep him out for 6 weeks. He's had a raft of injury issues. One of the latest injury issues that he had was during the UEFA Champions League match, second leg game between Galatasaray and Liverpool, where he picked up a hand injury, an arm injury. But he's going to go through surgery that will keep him out for 6 weeks. And we wish him a speedy recovery because there's still a lot of football to play before the end of the season, both for his club side Galatasaray in Istanbul, Turkey, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Then there is a bit of transfer news. Yes, the transfer window is not open right now, but it's still good to know the deals that have been done ahead of the summer transfer. And that is one of the French legends himself, Atletico Madrid wing forward Antoine Griezmann, has agreed a 2-year deal with Orlando City in the MLS, the Major League Soccer. That's going to take effect from July 2026 after the summer holidays begin, when the season ends, rather a month after the season ends. Currently, he's plying his trade with Atletico de Madrid. They are currently fourth in La Liga standings because Villarreal are third on the log. So as a result of that, he's doing the best he can with his teammates like Julian Alvarez, Ademola Lookman, and co. to finish as respectably as possible. But this is his final hurrah in an Atletico Madrid shirt. So he's no longer going to be a Rojiblanco by July 2026. So those are the headlines for now. And we begin with the NPFL match day 31, the fixtures and then the results. Match day 31, we told you about what's ongoing right now. Afia Warriors are leading Niger Tornadoes by 1-0. Its second half is about to begin. I think it should have begun by now. Then the Rivers United are losing at another title contender. That's how tough this game is. They are losing to Nasarawa United by 3-1. The second half will begin shortly, or actually will get underway shortly. But we will give you the results of the games that were played in the round 31 match week. And it began with, of course, Wiki Torres hosting Barao FC on Saturday. It was a goalless draw. The same scoreline between Warri Wolves, 10-man Warri Wolves, and Bendel Insurance. Plateau United got the better of Bayelsa United, only just 1-0. Then Kun Khalifat and a 10-man in Ikorodu City shared the spoils. It was a 4-goal thriller, 2 goals, 2 apiece. Then Katsina United beat Shooting Stars of Ibadan 1-0. Same Esugida Kano Pillars beat Eimba 2-0, putting more pressure on Eimba. And then, of course, people are calling for the sack or even resignation of Kano Wankwo, the chairman of Eimba. Then you have Afia Warriors, like I said, who are currently leading Niger Tornadoes 1-0, and Nasarawa United currently leading Rivers United 3-1. But Remo Stars got themselves a bit of respite by getting a very important win over Kwara United, 3-1, which pushed them off the foot of the table, but they are still in the relegation zone. And then, of course, the Flying Antelopes, Rangers International, our darling Rangers, grabbed a 2-0 win. Itodo and Gordon Obaje grabbing goals in that win at the Cathedral against El Kanemi Warriors, which means Gordon Obaje is now the highest goal scorer in the NPFL with 11 goals, and that is looking very good. He finished as the highest goal scorer. I think that was about 10 years ago with Wiki Tourists. He was one of the top shots, if not the highest goal scorer, when he was playing with Wiki Tourists back then. And this is somebody who knows the back of the net. He's a veteran in the game, and as it is now, Zik, as this is looking now, there are 7 games to play. And like I always say, a league season is not a sprint, but a marathon.
True.
So what is more important in a marathon is not speed, but stamina. Rangers International have a solid foundation of a formidable home form. The Cathedral has become a fortress. Away from home, they've picked up some important points. We would have preferred if they had won more games. But what does it look like for Fidelis Ilejuka and his charges? 2 points, potentially 2 points ahead at the top of the log should the game between Rivers United and Nasarawa United end as we expect it to end. And then with 7 games to go, what will be playing in the minds of these men, these young men? And are they looking at a fact? What kind of objectives do you think they have in front of them? One of the things that comes to mind, because I need to get your thoughts, but one of the things that comes to mind for me as a Rangers fan, I get the feeling that one of the things that Fidelis Ilechuku is telling these boys is the fact that they have a massive opportunity to go to tie the record with Eimba, so they can become the joint highest winners in the NPFL with 9 titles. What do you think? Is there anything that you can add to that? How does this look, this title race with 7 games to go?
Yeah, it's a very, very nice place for Enugu Rangers to be in, being at the top of the table, 2 points ahead of their closest challengers, Rivers United, who, as we currently speak, like you mentioned, they are losing. And you can only win games in front of you, and Rangers have done that, like you mentioned as well. The home record has been fantastic. I think that should be the template for any title-winning team. You should be able to do your business at home. And they have been doing that, and kudos to the coach, Coach Fidelis. And it's not an easy thing to create 2 title-winning teams. In between, they had a very poor title defense, I think they did.
Yes.
But they have bounced back. They are giving it their all. My co-analyst before mentioned, I'm talking about KP, he said Rangers should be aspiring for continental football.
Yes.
And I think they have so far ticked that box. But now the alluring prize or prizes have come out in the form of being the champions of the league, that's winning the NPFL, and also tying the record with Eimba, like you mentioned. Imagine a scenario whereby Eimba gets relegated and Enugu Rangers wins the league. Who would have thought that? But it's currently a possibility, and Rangers players, they have nothing to lose. They just have to keep on winning their games. And 7 games to go. The ride is still going to be bumpy, but they are in a very, very good position.
It's good to know that they're in a good position. And talking about the good position, we need to look at some of the things that, some statistics. Rangers, like we pointed out, have the best home record. As it stands, Rangers are top of the log in the home from dropping points at home at the Cathedral only 3 times this season. And those were draws. No single loss at the Cathedral. But away from home, not really the best of results, but not best of results here, but still okay.
At least they're not losing a lot of
They're not losing a lot. They've lost 7 games.
Yeah.
All the 7 games that they've lost this season in the NPFL have been away from home. Yes, and I mean, it's understandable. But when you look at a number of other things, if you look at the statistics, I'm coming somewhere. I want to get your perspective on this. Gordon Ogbaje has 11 goals. He is the top shot, the hot shot in the league right now, a veteran indeed, who always knows how to shake the back of the net.
You know, when you mentioned him, sorry to cut you off,
Yeah.
you said he was once the top marksman in the league 10 years ago. I was like, he knows the league at the back of his palm.
Yes,
like,
of course. That was 10 years ago. Yes.
Yeah.
At
It just shows that he's been around,
he's been there,
consistent, he's been fit.
Sure.
You know, running away from injuries. You know, we have to commend him.
Of course, he's been there, done that. I think that was one of the biggest breaths of fresh air when, he left Rangers for a while, they had a spell away from Rangers, then returned. And his return to the first team was timely, very, very timely, and it's giving everybody a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
We're enjoying his contribution. But what I'm trying to look at right now, Gordon Ogbaje has 11 goals. Of course, people like Victor Mboma have 10, likewise Uche Collins, Joseph Arumala. These are players that have 10 goals. That is outside of Rangers. But the second highest goal scorer from Rangers' standpoint is a centre-back, Chidozie Iwundo. I think he has 8 goals. Chidozie Iwundo has 8 goals. Wow. And someone like Chidebe Nwubudu has 4 goals or 5. I can't remember. 4 goals. I think 4 goals. What am I saying? It's good to know that the games, the results are being spread. The goals are being spread.
Yeah.
Rangers have the best attack with 38 goals scored. No team has scored more goals than Rangers now. And because of what's happening to Rivers United now, Rangers officially have the best defense. Getting into this game, before Rivers started their game, they had considered 19 goals. Rangers have considered 21 goals.
But with 3 goals more, it's almost tied.
But now Rivers United have considered 22 because they've considered 3 goals in this game and more, hopefully.
When you say 39 goals, I was like, that's quite low. It tells you that NPFL is quite difficult.
It's very. I say it with my full chest every time, anywhere, any day, that the 2 most difficult leagues that I have come in contact with, that I've covered and analyzed, 2 most difficult leagues will have to be the NPFL and the English Premier League.
Yeah, I heard that.
And that is very, very clear. So, but
I'll even throw into the championship.
We are talking about the top leagues.
Okay.
Yeah, top flight football. Top flight.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that it's a jungle out there in the lower leagues, in the different pyramids of football. Yeah. That's why people always are trying to avoid relegation. I understand that. But Rangers have the best attack. Rangers have the best defense. It was Alex Ferguson of Manchester United then that said, goals win you games, but defenses win you titles.
Yes.
And of course, you score goals. That is what shows how potent your attack is.
True.
Then your defense determines how many clean sheets you keep, how many goals or how few goals you concede. That's exactly what they're doing. They're not leaking goals, they're not lacking goals.
By talking about Godwin Ogbaje, 11 goals, having a striker or a finisher that can take up or score those chances that you create, it's not always given that you get or score your chances, because football is a game of moments. Sometimes the moments might not align with you, sometimes it aligns with you, but having a finisher on the point of the attack is very, very massive for them in their quest for the league. Yes,
really, and that is a quest that we're looking at and studying very, very well. Let me put it this way. Okay, I know that the games are ongoing now, and the only reason I want to look at this and see if we can get a prediction from you after 90 minutes is because of the impact it will have on Rangers' title chances. That is the only reason we're talking about it now.
Okay, it's still ongoing.
It's ongoing now. Second half has started. It's still 3-1. What is the final score between Rivers United and Nasarawa United?
Only God knows the final score.
Predicts now, but God has given us the grace to predict. So predict.
It depends on how many minutes are there.
48 minutes have been played.
There's still hope, but highest I see them getting is a draw, because they have already given themselves a mountain to climb, 2-goal margin. I don't know how it got to that level, but the best I can see them getting is a draw. And they can still collect more goals if they're not careful, but draw for them if they try their best. Okay, so a draw for them. Anyway, so that's that for the NPFL. Very good. We move to the continent, and it is news. Well, one of the bits of breaking news that we need to have right now is that the CAF Champions League will have a new champion. That is now certain, because the Pyramids SC of Egypt, the defending champions of the CAF Champions League, have been officially knocked out in the quarterfinals by AS FAR. That happened when they beat them 2-1 in Cairo. So the CAF Champions League
at least the good thing about it is that
There'll be a new champion.
there'll be a new champion, and then nobody has filed a petition to CAF or to I don't know,
CAS.
and CAS is not involved. Well, because maybe they are Egyptians. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, they were a breath of fresh air last season. That's Pyramids, of course.
Until they pummeled the Rivers United.
Oh, they stopped becoming a
I don't know that they were a choke, but no problem, sir.
Well, it's good for the level of African football to show that the Champions League is quite difficult. There are a lot of quality sides. Even the South Africans are still there. I'm not too sure, but as far they are not playing over there. As far very very difficult. The games I've seen, they're a very good side. So kudos to them.
Yeah, massive kudos to them. So I want to pull out the other results so you can know where they stand in the CAF Champions League. As it stands right now in the CAF Champions League, because we want to get some predictions regarding who is likely to go to the next round, and who will win who. Now, like we said, AS FAR knocked out Pyramids FC by 2-1. AS FAR did that. That was these were goals. I've got Mayele scored in the 62nd minute, an equalizer. After that's for Pyramids FC. After Himrat scored in the 54th minute. Then, of course, the 9th minute, it was AS FAR that took the lead. Then, AS FAR scored the 2 goals, and then Pyramids put one back and tried to get back into the game. They were not able to do that. They didn't have enough in the tank, and at least nobody rioted, nobody lynched anybody there. That's good to know. Yes, there are people who are upset because home advantage has to count. But as it stands right now, we need to know what next in the CAF Champions League. AS FAR knocked out Pyramids of Egypt 3-2 on aggregate. Then, of course, RS Berkane knocked out Al Hilal by 2-1 on aggregate. Then, Mamelodi Sundowns are through, also winning their opponents 3-2. Then, was it Esperance de Tunis beat Al Ahly? Egyptian Giants. So 2 Egyptian Giants are out. 4-2 on aggregate. 2 Egyptian Giants. One of them the most successful club side in world football, not just in African football, because they've won more titles than any other side in world football. That's talking about Al Ahly. And when you talk about Egyptian Giants, in all fairness, in all honesty, Pyramids just won the CAF Champions League last season. That's the first time that they've won it. The first time that an Egyptian side other than Al Ahly and Zamalek had won the CAF Champions League. Pyramids just broke the party. So normally in the Egyptian Premier League, I know that there are some strong sides there like MP, even Pyramids SC, but primarily it's a two-team league. Most times you talk about the Black Knights and the White Stallions. You talk about Al Ahly and Zamalek. But now that there's no Egyptian representative there, does it look like something different is happening? We have new winners here because there's a Mamelodi Sundowns that's there. AS FAR, of course, for knocking out Pyramids, they are not to be taken for granted. They are not to be taken for granted.
Yeah, they will believe that they can do it, and there's nothing special that has happened. It's just the thing with football. He has his troughs and his highs, and sometimes teams from this certain nation tend to do well, others than teams from another part of Africa, and it's just like I was mentioning on set and even outside the set to people about the Champions League, where the Premier League was dumped out this past round, and it seems like the La Liga teams were very fantastic. It happened to the Serie A side the round before in the playoff round, so it just happens. It just tells you that football doesn't respect reputation or names. You have to perform at that current moment. If you don't perform at that current moment, a team that applies the same principle that they plan for or they prepare for and gives them a little bit more of a little bit more percentage than you will beat you despite your name.
Okay, I guess that's that. So tough luck to Pyramids FC of Egypt. They are the defending champions. Well, there's nothing left to defend because they will not be there to the end of the tournament. The CAF Champions League will be won by another team. Will it be one of the usuals? Well, we will see by the end of this season. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this timeout. Stay tuned. This is still the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. You're welcome back to the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. The frequencies are still channel 254 DSTV, channel 748 Free TV, and channel 17 Go TV. Welcome back, guys. My name is still CC, the Rabbi, and I want to say a sincere thank you very much and appreciation to the first guest, the blessed Zik himself, Zikra Ngene. And I'm joined here by a very dear friend and one man who has several hats that he wears on his head in the world of sports and beyond, referring to none other than Kelechi Naji, the sports broadcaster, presenter, producer, researcher, fill in the gaps if you want, and of course, a referee. Kelechi, good to have you here again.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. CC, and good evening to everyone who is watching us right now. I think we had an incredible weekend of football, especially from the Nigerian football to continental football to European football. We saw a final play out. And I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people were celebrating while some others were disappointed. But this is actually what football is all about. You know, it will excite some, and some others will be thinking, okay, I should have done it differently. But that's actually the game.
That's the game, you just have to take it the way it comes, and you got that spot on. All right, so we're going to move. We've moved away from Africa, from Nigeria to Africa, and now we're in Europe, and we'll look at some of the games that were played in Europe. First of all, we begin with the English Premier League. In the English Premier League, we had some key games that happened this past weekend, round 31 of the EPL. First of all, we had the game between Manchester United and Bournemouth. Of course, there's a lot of incidents in that game. Man United and Bournemouth. Bournemouth drew with Manchester United, 10-man Man United, 2-2, 2-2. That's what happened there in that game. And that means Bournemouth and Manchester United have shared between themselves 16 goals this season, because the first game at Old Trafford was 4-4. So now this one ended 2-2. Then Brighton and Hove Albion beat Liverpool, surprisingly to many, 2-1. Danny Welbeck has refused to age. The 36-year-old, aging like fine wine, grabbed a brace there to cancel out the goal that was scored by Milos Kerkez. Actually, Kerkez got the equalizer, then Welbeck got the winner, the final winner. So that's what happened there. Then Fulham thrashed Burnley by 3-1. The last goal was scored from the penalty spot after a red card was shown to a Burnley player. That goal was scored by Raul Jimenez. That is the Mexican striker. Then Manchester City's game against Crystal Palace will still be played. Normally, it's supposed to have been in 31st, match week 31, but it was scheduled the same weekend as the Carabao Cup final. We'll get to that in a bit. So that game is still being postponed. Arsenal, on the other hand, had a game that they were supposed to have played this week, but it was brought forward weeks ago, and that was against Wolverhampton Wanderers at the Molineux, but that one ended 2-2. So the other games there, you had Everton thrashing Chelsea 3-0. It was a chastening performance in a chastening game for Chelsea Football Club. They lost 3-0 to Everton, and then they saw blue. Then Leeds United and Brentford was a goalless draw. It ended goalless at Elland Road. Then the time where derby, Newcastle United and Sunderland, for the first time in a very long time, did the league double over their bitter rivals, their Tyneside rivals, Newcastle United. They beat them by 2-1 at St. James's Park after a 1-0 win, 1-0 result at Wearside, that is the Stadium of Light. Aston Villa thrashed West Ham United by 2-0. And this one is a very, very tricky one. Tottenham Hotspur, the gift that keeps on giving, were mauled, battered and bruised by Nottingham Forest for the second time this season by the same scoreline, 3-0. But this was so humiliating that it happened in front of their home fans at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London, 3-0. Now, what this means, Kelechi, is that Tottenham Hotspur this year, 2026, are yet to win a single Premier League game. You can see the optics. If you look at the screen, you see there, that's exactly how their results have looked. Out of all those games there, they've picked up 4 draws and 6 defeats, chastening defeats for that matter. How bad are the Lily Whites? Because that's what they are.
You know, I don't want to sound like every other person who thinks that Tottenham Hotspur problem started this season. I am very much disappointed with Manchester United from last season because somehow they allowed Tottenham to beat them in the Europa League final. Because looking at Tottenham last season, you knew that their problems started even the season before that last season. But under Ange Postecoglou, Tottenham were really terrible, like extremely terrible. I think they finished 16th in the league last season.
17th, actually.
Yeah, 17th. So, they were just just minimally away from relegation. And you could imagine a coach winning a team like Tottenham, their first European trophy, and still get the sack. That's to tell you how bad they did in the league. But then they went on to bring Thomas Frank, who came, and at first it looked like he had steadied the ship. This is definitely the Tottenham story. At the start of every season, they tend to start well, but then eventually they would still go back to
it's called initial growth.
Thomas Frank somehow managed to make them look good in the Champions League. But in the league, they really, really struggled. And eventually he got the sack. Then, trying to improve the team or maybe trying to worsen the team, they went on to bring Igor Tudor. Now, I really cannot tell what Tudor is doing in Tottenham Hotspur. I have to be very sincere with you. But I wouldn't blame any coach that goes to Tottenham right now. I think the entire blame would have to go to Daniel Levy. That's actually how I see it. It's still literally the same thing I would say if we were talking about Chelsea. I'll say the entire blame should go to the owners. But Tottenham Hotspur might just get relegated this season. That's how terrible the team has been. They've not won a league match in 2026, and I definitely think that relegation is a possibility. But, I never really thought that a time would come when I'll be seeing Arsenal about to win the league and Tottenham about to get relegated. Just like we said when you guys were talking about the NPFL, where you said we didn't really think that a time would come when Rangers is talking about winning the league and Enyimba is talking about getting relegated. So that's exactly the same situation we have with Tottenham and Arsenal. It's definitely going to be, an entire holiday year and a whole year of holiday for Arsenal fans if this whole thing happens. Arsenal wins the league, Tottenham gets relegated. It's going to be wholesome for Arsenal fans and terrible for Tottenham fans, but it's actually the reality. And what has been the case? I think it's been a case of poor management and player injuries. Tottenham since the start of last season has suffered the most injury by any team, but that's not going to be an excuse because, you have to plan your season before the start of the season. We know that injury is inevitable, so you need to make your squad as large as possible. So Tottenham Hotspur, I wasn't really surprised. Yeah, I wasn't surprised with that result yesterday because I'm never expecting anything serious from Tottenham. But let's talk about the other games in the Premier League. Now, like Chelsea, they are under almost a similar kind of situation. The only difference is that Chelsea had actually racked up points before they capitulated. Because if they hadn't racked up points before now, they would be in the same waters that Tottenham had found themselves. But somehow they are afloat because they picked up points earlier in the season. But Chelsea, you look at them, that physically and emotionally, the team is tired. The fact that Chelsea has played the most football in the whole of Europe since the start of last season, from Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Conference League to the Club World Cup, and then had just 2 weeks break to the start of the new Premier League season. And then in the new Premier League season, they've also played until the EFL Cup semi-finals, still in the FA Cup, Champions League and everything. The fixture congestion has actually gotten to the team. But like I keep saying, these stuffs are not excuses because you have the transfer windows to plan for days like this. And I would say that the Chelsea board, the technical directors and whoever makes the decisions at Chelsea have actually made very poor decisions this season. Especially the day they allowed Enzo Maresca leave and then replaced him with Liam Rosenau, whose biggest achievement is uplifting Strasbourg from being a low team to an okay team. And now they believe that, because he has made progress with Strasbourg in the French league, you think he can replicate that in the Premier League mid-season. I think at the end of the day, Rosenau was thrown into an ocean without any life jacket or lifeboat, and he willingly jumped into it. So whatever he sees, he should actually take it because he knew the risk he was taking. And also, I also understand that sometimes some trains do not pass twice. So when you get the opportunity, just jump on it. And I think that's exactly what Rosenau did. So, Chelsea in a very terrible situation. This might just be the way they go until the end of the season. I don't see Chelsea improving until the end of the season, actually.
Well, that is very sad, especially when you talk about a powerhouse like Chelsea. Chelsea, to many, has self-acclaimed pride of London. Some have now started calling them the pride.
I
pride
think I
of
might
London.
just disagree with you when you say self-acclaimed. They are actually the pride of
No,
London.
I'm not. This is not my opinion. It's not my opinion.
It's not self-acclaimed.
Yes.
I don't think it is self-acclaimed because you look at the numbers. We're talking about numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look at the numbers, they are.
Yeah, fine.
We are looking about the past. Maybe I know you don't want to have this conversation. But
No. I wouldn't like to open a new kettle of fish. It's a wonderful conversation.
Because if we start this conversation, we might not finish it up now.
Precisely. That's it.
Cool. So maybe on another day we'll take our time.
No problem. No, let sleeping dogs lie. Let sleeping lions lie. In this case, the lion that is somehow missing from that Chelsea logo. But it's good to have that. Let's move straight. Let's leave the woes of the Premier League because we're going to have Premier League. And for just as a reminder, those who are waiting for Premier League action, the international break is actually this week that we're in. The international break will begin, and after international break, we're not getting back to Premier League action immediately. There's going to be FA Cup action for those in England who have an England following. There's going to be FA Cup action the following weekend. That is the Easter within the week that Easter weekend proper FA Cup action. Then the following week, which is going to be pretty much the second week of April, Premier League action, match week 32 will return. But they have a lot to do.
I think that's FA Cup weekend. There will also be Premier League for the teams that are no
longer in the FA Cup. Yeah, okay, those are the exceptions, like Manchester United.
Yeah, a lot of them are actually. Not just Manchester United.
I just have to call Manchester United for a reason.
I understand. I understand.
Okay, so having said that, we'll go straight. We have other fish to fry, and that's what happened in Wembley, the 90,000-seater auditorium, Wembley, where the first cup final up for grabs was available on Sunday, being yesterday, the 22nd of March, the year of our Lord 2026, where Arsenal Football Club, who was in a hunt for a quadruple, went in there. To some, they were favorites. To some, they were not. But they actually had an ambition. They wanted to win the title. There was a lot of grievance between them and Manchester City because of the last time they got to that final in 2018. But lightning, they say, doesn't strike twice in the same place unless it involves Arsenal and Manchester City in a Carabao Cup final, because that's what happened. Manchester City ended up winning Arsenal using the experience, winning them by 2-0. Nico O'Reilly, the attacking midfielder, homegrown, converted to a wing forward for Man City, ended up scoring both goals. Klanga, let me not say Klangas, but we'll get to that because the ref watch will come in a bit from now. Klangas from Kepa Arrizabalaga. There was talk about who should have been between the sticks. Should Mikel Arteta have stayed, trusted Kepa to continue because Kepa began this cup run up to the final, or should they have put the more reliable goalkeeper in David Raya? Now, Kepa, of course, has negative history with the Carabao Cup against Liverpool and against Manchester City in the past. So trauma. I really feel for the young man. But that notwithstanding, Manchester City grabbed their first title of the season, and it's fitting that might just be the first title. That's the one that they're 100% sure of. They now have that. A bird in the hand is water in the bush. And that was the first title that Pep Guardiola won when he came to England, when he went to England in 2016, 2017. So that next season, he won that title, the Carabao Cup. And as it stands, that's his 40th title. I don't have time for the breakdown, but he's won a raft of titles. That's his 40th title. And those titles, I'm going to rankle some people because I don't like hypocrites. Those titles include 3 community shields. 3 community shields.
Someone get me to pick, please.
I want to get under somebody's skin.
Because I've always been of the opinion that the community shield is not a title. Now, that's not to say it is not a title to be lifted, but these are the sort of titles that you're not so proud of to mention when you mention them. When you're asked to mention the titles you've won as a manager, as a club, it's not like it is not part of football. The fact that the organizers of that particular match that gives you that title sees the game as a dead rubber. They see it as a charity game. A charity game. And, whatever card that is shown in the community shield will not be served anywhere. That's to tell you that the game is only but a cutting result to the season. It is nothing serious. So whoever, don't take it away from anybody that has won it, but it is not something to brag about. That has always been my point.
But it is a GP booster. See, we have to agree on something.
This guy, in the universities, every course has its unit load.
Yeah, that's the point.
If the Premier League was a 4-unit load and the Champions League was a 5-unit load
or 6-unit load,
the Community Shield would be a 0.5 load.
No, 1. Let's give it 1. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. That's 1 unit. 1.
No, the Community Shield will be a 0.5 load. That's actually how it is.
I beg to differ. Community Shield probably one unit. Then maybe Carabao Cup, maybe 2 units. FA Cup, 3 units. Then EPL 4 units. Like that. That's the sequence. Champions League 6 units. Not even 5. That's my own take.
No problem. So let's see. Since we've added it to Pep Guardiola, let's add it to Arteta. Are you okay?
Did I call Arteta's name?
No. Since we've added the Community Shield to Guardiola, let's add it to Arteta.
I'm only saying
Arteta have won 3 trophies.
I'm only saying this for the record. I'm only saying this because I do not like double standards. Okay. That's all. All. Okay, fine.
Point made.
All right, so let's go to the action right now.
So now let's talk about the game yesterday, because I come bearing good news for Arsenal fans actually. And the good news is there's been just an announcement quickly before I got on set, and it has just been announced that the CAF Appeal Board has announced Arsenal the winners of the EFL Cup. Only problem is that Manchester City have refused to return the trophy to Arsenal. So Pep Guardiola said, if you want it, come and get it.
And an update.
But then, I also learned that what really happened was that, because before the game, Arsenal faithfuls were all, over the moon. They believed they had won the cup already, even before the ball was kicked. And then they were saying, oh, we are on for the quadruple. We're winning the quadruple. And then Pep Guardiola was like, oh, really?
Right. Yeah. No pun intended. Pun really intended. I know. I don't know what else.
Let's get to the game proper.
All right, go ahead, please.
I have to be very sincere with you. Yesterday, I was very disappointed with Arsenal, the approach, the whole thing, because I looked at the Manchester City team, the lineup, and I was like, okay, Arsenal is actually going to have a walk in the park today, because the Man City team was very, very light defensively. McGahey is cup tied, so he couldn't play the finals. Ruben Diaz
picked an injury,
so he could not play, which means Manchester City only had Abdulkadir Kushanov,
who had a splendid game, to be honest,
and Nathan Ake available. And these guys are not even the top 2 or top 3 centre-backs in Manchester City. And Arsenal, having faced the best defenders in the world and beaten them prior to that game, I expected Arteta to go all out, attack Manchester City, and grab this, show how much hunger you have for it. But then, Man City came into the game ambitious. Arsenal came into the game cautious.
Yes.
While Man City were chasing the game, Arsenal were more worried about losing the game. Man City were more worried about winning the game. Arsenal were more worried about losing the game. And I think that was where they lost it. At a point, I began to feel like it is actually a personal thing between Pep Guardiola and
Mikel
Arteta. I think Mikel Arteta is scared of Pep Guardiola. Because if he is not scared, there is no explanation to that approach to the game. Now, you have had a team that won the FA Cup in your first season, and this is your 6th year in the job. And you've gone under a lot of criticism, and you have the opportunity to win the first cup in what a lot of people see as the start of a dominance by Arsenal. But then you were too careful that you allowed a very light Manchester City to, overrun you, because that was exactly what happened. Now, talking about Kepa, personally, my opinion about Kepa. I have never been a fan of Kepa. For whatever reason, I have never been a fan. In fact, I would rather have myself in goal than Kepa. That's the truth. But then, he started the EFL Cup for Arsenal, and he played until this final. So it's quite understandable to, have him in goal. But like you mentioned, there are some things that you look at in cup games, especially if it is very important to you, and you'll be like, okay, because there's what they call PTSD. Remember the game, when Kepa was at Chelsea when he was about to be substituted and he refused to come out.
Right, and issue with Sarri then,
with Mauricio Sarri, and eventually Chelsea lost the game. Then the same Kepa also played in the EFL Cup finals against Liverpool, where he had the opportunity to win it, and he blazed his penalty almost out of the stadium. 2 EFL Cup finals lost the same ground. Now with a different team, he is on. You think there's nothing going on in his brain? I expected Arteta to have actually thought about this and then played Raya. If you really needed this cup. I think at the end of the day, we would say Arteta really didn't need the cup, or he didn't show so much need for the cup. So congratulations to Manchester City. Well played, Pep Guardiola. This might actually be his last trophy in English football. It's possible. The same way it was his first trophy in English football. And you can't take it away from Pep Guardiola. Whenever he gets himself in a final, he always has a way of winning.
Okay, so just very quickly, in 1 minute, there are 2 incidents that I want you to look at. First of all, since we're in the Carabao Cup final, that's still on Kepa. There's an incident between Kepa and Jeremy Doku. Yes, at the area there concerning a decision that some feel should have been given the referee using the discretion to play an advantage. Just in a minute, because we have to end this segment and go to the next one. Then also you can throw in one Premier League game between, I think that's that feisty draw between Manchester United and Bournemouth. There was also an incident there. Manchester United got a red card in that game, but still, just give us your thoughts about what happened.
All right, so quickly, the EFL Cup final, there was a situation where Manchester City had a quick breakthrough after Jeremy Doku saw himself through on goal, and Kepa Arrizabalaga had actually left his line to come see if he could clear the ball, but somehow Doku, got the ball before him, and trying to stop his team from conceding, Kepa pulled Doku back. But while he was pulling Doku back, he was actually making an attempt to play the ball. It was not like it was a blatant foul. And at the same time, the position where the incident was happening, it is almost 90% difficult for Doku to score directly from that position. So in such situation, you cannot say Kepa is denying an obvious goal. Yes. He is actually denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. But then his foul is not a blatant foul, and he is attempting to play the ball. And he also has some teammates for support. So now, at some point, it looked like Doku had gotten away from Kepa. And the expectation was that the referee would allow the game to continue because Haaland was already arriving to support Doku, which if the referee had played the advantage, the next line of action would have been for Doku to drop for Haaland and he shoots. Be it a goal or not, we would never know because it didn't happen. But immediately Doku got away from Kepa, the referee gave a foul and shown a yellow card to Kepa. First of all, the yellow card, right decision. Foul, right decision. But the question is, what does the laws of the game really want in this kind of situation? Does the law want to punish a foul, or what does the law want a goal? The law actually wants a goal because it is goals we celebrate in football, not the fouls. So I would say the referee actually got it wrong there. He should have allowed the game to continue and see what happens there.
Okay, I would have really loved to look at the Manchester United situation, but we're out of time. Thank you very much, Kelechi, for your expert analysis as usual, and then breaking down the refereeing decisions that are made. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll be right back after this very short break. We will bring you the final lap of the Afia Sports Review Spot. In a bit, stay tuned, don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Afia Sports Show, the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. The frequencies are still channel 254 DSTV, channel 748 Free TV, and channel 17 Go TV. It's good to be back here. On the final lap of the Afia Sports Review Spot, I want to say a sincere thank you to Kelechi Naji for the role he's played in this past segment. And now we have the divinator here to divine with us. But this divining has to look, we are looking at what happened in the past. If you need to be useful to me about the future, but no problem. Divine himself, the divinator, good to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here one more time.
All right, so we want to look at the results. Round 28 29 rather, of the Spanish La Liga. Let's start from there. There were some very important results there. Villarreal beat Real Sociedad 3-1. Elche beat Mallorca 2-1. Espanyol lost at home to Getafe 2-1. Levante thrashed Real Oviedo 4-2. Osasuna beat Girona 1-0. Sevilla lost at home to Valencia 2-0. Barcelona, Ronald Araujo scored that goal. Beat Rayo Vallecano by 1-0. Celta de Vigo lost at home 4-3 to Alaves. Athletic Bilbao beat Real Betis 2-1. And then, of course, we had Real Madrid, 10-man Real Madrid beating Atletico Madrid 3-2, a game in which Ademola Lookman found the back of the net. He scored the opening goal in the 33rd minute. But at the end of the day, you had the Fede Valverde who scored one of the goals and moved from hero to zero, scoring and then getting a red card. Professional foul, last man. But La Liga is getting very, very interesting, Divine. Barcelona got their results that they needed. They got a very important 1-0 win because in the corresponding fixture, they drew. It was one of the few games they dropped, the points they dropped. Yeah. But Barca have had excellent home record, and that's helped them stay. I think that should be 4 points clear of Real Madrid. How instrumental is this with 9 games to go? A lot can happen in 9 games, but momentum is on the side of Blaugrana. How did this past week play out, and what do you see happening in the next couple of weeks to consolidate?
I actually watched the game, Barcelona versus Rayo Vallecano game. I have to say that Barcelona were not really themselves, especially in the second half. I saw the first half, they were good. It was a 2-2, but Barcelona made good use of their corner kick chance, and that was how Araujo headed it home. But in the second half, they were all over Barcelona. Rayo Vallecano was all over Barcelona, but Barcelona had to just prove themselves and hang on tight in order to get their 3 points. Then coming to Real Madrid, very interesting game, very intense. Yes, because it's a Madrid derby. These are like two, should I call them derby enemies? Yes. Arch rivals, so to speak. The Madrid arch rivals, the biggest, derby in Spain. So it wasn't bad. It was few. It was intense. Lookman, coming up to show why he was signed, why he's important to the team. But Madrid, as the Giants, the Giants, they just had to, carve out their win, get themselves together, pull themselves back in the second half, and got their win. Valverde and Vinicius Jr. have actually been pulling up the strength so far this season. In recent games, for like 4 games straight now, they've been, turning up big time in big games. So I'll say congratulations to them. The league is still tight. The league is still very, very tight. Still very open for anyone. When I mean anyone, I mean between Barcelona and Real Madrid, between the two of them, to get the title. So 9 games is still a very, very, very long road to go. The road is still very bumpy as well. So let's just see what happens.
A very long road to go. Barca have helped themselves greatly with home record. They've not dropped a single point at home. That's very important for them.
Since they opened the Spotify Camp Nou.
Yes, so they got Spotify in many respects. Very good. So a big congratulations to Barcelona. Okay, can you leave that straight bullet? So, no, but really, I think Barca have done a very good job, and big congratulations to them. So 4 points clear as it stands. Barca have to make sure that for them to win La Liga, they either better the point tally of Real Madrid or make sure that the second leg of El Clasico, they better the result of Madrid. Because if they draw with Madrid in El Clasico and then they finish on points, Madrid will win La Liga on head-to-head. Because head-to-head is the first tiebreaker when it comes to Spanish La Liga, unlike the English Premier League and some other leagues. Yeah, so that's what we want our viewers to be aware of. Then I'll just take very quickly this last part and then we'll close the show. Okay. The Italian Serie A, wonderful games indeed. Como is on fire, 5-0. Como is on fire. Como, 4th place, Como. Cesc Fabregas is doing a wonderful job with Como in the Italian Serie A. Cagliari lost at home to Napoli 1-0. Genoa lost to Udinese also at home 2-0. Parma lost to Cremonese 2-0. Then AC Milan beat Torino 3-2. Juventus and Sassuolo could only share the spoils 1-1. Como, like I mentioned, thrashed thrashed Pisa 5-0. Bologna lost at home to Lazio 2-0. Atalanta beat Verona 1-0. Roma beat Lecce 1-0. And then Fiorentina drew with Internazionale 1-1. So just let's end it this way. Como, how good is after this season ends, because Como are fourth on the log, they're in the Champions League places. They have a few more games to go, because we're talking about around 38 games to go. If they keep their heads in it, they look like they're going to qualify for Europe. What part of Europe we're not sure of yet, but they look like they're going to qualify for Europe.
Play European
now,
trophy.
if they finish very strong this season and finish in Europe, should that be hurrah for Cesc Fabregas, or should he stay one more season? What do you think?
Okay, Fabregas doesn't have the European experience as a coach yet, but as the saying goes, there's a first time for everything. So I'll say he should stay and, know how far he would take these boys in Europe. And he has done a very good job, and he's still doing a very good job in Serie A. Who would agree that Como would come from where they are, since Fabregas, who has little or no knowledge of being a manager, comes in and uses a small club to come this far? Come on. All eyes will be on him when they come to Europe.
Okay, so anyway, all eyes on us too. Thank you very much for everything. Divine, thank you very much for what you do. And also I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been part of the success of this Afia Sports Review Spot. Thank you very much. The MCR people there, we have Rising there. Thank you very much. On the PCR, we have David. I almost said David and Goliath. David and Victor, thank you very much for being there. Then, of course, we have Emeka Madoka, the self-acclaimed piece of football, somewhere around there. Thank you very much. We also have the Blessed Zik there. Thank you very much. Kelechi Naji, of course, my dear friend. Thank you for what you do. We have here the floor manager, acting floor manager, camera personnel, cinematographer.
Plus makeup.
That's plus makeup. The lady of all talents. I'm referring to goodness and mercy. Thank you very much. We'll do this again on Thursday in the Afia Sports Banter Box. There will be banter. I assure you there will be banter this Thursday. So stay tuned on Afia TV. Till then, remain blessed. I'm Sisi the Rabbi, signing out.